Hey, what's up? Welcome. You are listening to TC the G Radio, Season 4, Episode 7. I am TC the G, broadcasting directly from Tijuana, Baja California. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a great time. The title of today's episode: Moving On. Okay, so I decided to speak on this topic today because I have been going through some issues with work. Um, I found out that the girl that was working before me, the girl that yes, the girl that was there before me, she was getting paid more, and the quality of her work wasn't as good as mine. And I don't mean to toot my own horn or brag or whatever, but facts are facts, So I'm just, I told the boss, hey, I found out that joke by joke, people at the office talk. So one of the guys told me that the old girl that she was getting paid, like, I don't know, he said like she would get take home AGs sometimes, pesos, but it's still a good amount. So I wasn't sure if he was like really for like if that was the real number, but it still made me curious to look into it, right? So that's what I did. I looked into it. I looked at her last check and I did the math, and I sent that information to my boss and I told him, hey, I'm looking for a raise because, mind you as well, one of the reasons why I came to the job attracted my the job grabbed my attention. I'm sorry. One of the reasons why is because every year they were supposed to give you a raise every year. So, I really like that, I want to be at a job where I can actually grow, professionally. And if you get a raise every year, well, hey, that's great, your loyalty will pay off kind of thing, right? So that's what I was thinking. That's great. It will really help me. And okay, so I got the job. So one of the reasons why, again, I got the job was because of that. So when I brought up to the boss that I wanted a raise, I also brought that up to him. I told him, hey, my 1 year is up. I also had asked you for a raise before, which I had. But I didn't push the issue because he said there was no money, right? But since I just found out that the other girl was getting paid more, that was kind of like, oh, what the hell? So she was getting paid more, and her work was less quality, and you're still, and you're not even trying to pay me that, because when I told him, he said there was no money. But anyway, I told him that I wanted my raise, and if not, then I would go somewhere else because, I feel undervalued, right? Because again, the quality of the work. And the reason why he actually gave her a raise was because she was about to quit, and that was the way that he kept her with him while he found a new girl. So either way, even if that was just a tactic that he used in order to keep her, that's still the money that she was getting, at the end of the day. So, and also, when I told him about the raise, I didn't actually ask for exactly what she was getting. I actually was asking for something lower. I was asking for 150 an hour pesos. I started at 100. I worked my way up to 125, and now it was 150. What I'm asking for, and which is usually what I ask for when I do like freelance work. Um, and I wasn't like really just trying to get what the homegirl was getting. I'm more focusing on me, on what I have acquired while I've been there. And maybe I'm a little bit dumb. Maybe I should be asking for that amount or more. What she was getting, I mean. But in reality, I know that a 25 peso raise, to me, it's still like fair kind of thing. The work that I do is, to me, is it's not that hard because I love it and because I have put in the work to kind of like, to do great work. I practice and everything, to do great work. So at this point, I'm almost like, I guess you could say like, like, I guess, not like a master or something like that. Um, and at the same time though, my skill is worth something, right? Because I have put in the work. But anyway, to me, the what I was asking was fair enough. I didn't want to like be over. It's just, I just kept it humble and I said that price. That's what I went for. But the boss he didn't respond to me. He ended up canceling all my credentials to all of the platforms and things like that. So to me, that's like he's telling me, well, no, you're not getting the raise. And as a matter of fact, you're gone kind of thing, you know? And it's fine. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I want to work for somebody who's straight up, who can really tell me the truth. And maybe that's me being too idealistic, but in reality, hey, there's no reason why you can't talk or try to work out a deal, right? Instead of just not answering and just canceling all my credentials or just, being like that, kind of childish, you know what I mean? So, which is, everybody has a right to respond to situations the way they wish to. I am not judging him based on that. But, me as a person, I am the one that sets the tone as to how I want to be treated. And that is not the way that I want to be treated at the end of the day. Like, I'm not even worth a conversation kind of thing, you know? Especially after all the work I have put into the company, all the loyalty. There has been things, sometimes I'm late and I'm not a perfect employee, but for the most part, and I don't think there's any employee that's perfect, right? But for the most part, I have been 100 with a company, I have been. So at the end of the day, if he doesn't see that, and everybody sees that, and I myself see that, I don't need his validation anyway at the end of the day. But I told him in the email, I know you know that my work is it's higher quality, and that I deserve the raise because I'm pretty much running the whole company. I was running the whole company, the from here at Tijuana, like the base, like the administration side of things, like the office, and also the internal documents and the training materials, the recruitment, the systems. It was all me. And yes, of course he was getting it done before. He was getting it done, but it was not with the smoothness that I brought into, with my systems and the way I structure and design documents and things like that. And at the end of the day, we cannot expect people to value us. That's their business if, they want to value us. And maybe they're not even aware of what they're doing. Maybe they're still, unaware of, they're just still sleeping, they're not really aware of what they're doing and how they're treating people. They're still too child, I don't mean to say childish like in a negative way, more like immaturity, like emotional immaturity. And there's still room to grow, of course. I'm pretty sure for me as well, but I was willing to have the conversation. I even sent him a message like yesterday, and he could have easily said, like, oh, I'm mad, or I didn't like this or that. And again, again, these are just my expectations, my ideals, what I would have wanted to have happen, I guess. And then at the end of the day, he can act however he wants to. It's up to me to decide if I want to continue with the company or if I wish to change and go somewhere else. There's really no reason to torture myself, torture the boss, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be comfortable. You know why? Because he knows that I'm like he cannot control me. Like the position is not. I'm not scared of losing the position. Obviously, I put it on the table, telling him that hey, I need the raise or I'm going to put in my resignation because that's pretty much what I told him. Because again, because I found out that the girl was getting a higher rate, a higher pay, and it's like, hey, what the fuck do I look like? Like I've been putting in all the work and more. So I need a little incentive to feel valued and to continue giving the company my loyalty, you know? And I think it's only fair at the end of the day. And again, it's been a year, and one of the things that attracted me to the company was that every year they will give you, a raise. And of course, the company has a right to not give bonuses and blah 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 if they don't wish to. And again, maybe these are my ideals, but a company doesn't look too good when they do that. Yes, they can change things, but at the end of the day, as an employee, you are looking forward to those things, right? And those are the things that keep your loyalty in a way. Those are the things that you're looking forward to. That's how they locked us in. And then for them to like be like, oh, never mind, you know what? No, never mind that after all. And it's like, damn, I just wasted all my time thinking that I was gonna get this, and it's really not true. I could have gone maybe somewhere else where they were really gonna give it to me, you know. But at the end of the day, again, we cannot really control people and how they advertise and blah 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 blah. We are just in control of ourselves, how we respond to the situation, and our actions That's pretty much it. I really don't like to feel like a victim, you know. That's like to me that's like the worst, right? Like, oh, the company did this to me and this that and that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like we all know how companies are and we all know how businesses are. They're just there for the money. Even if they say, "Oh, we're for the people," you know, like, yeah, are you really? It's very rare for them to for that to be really like true, you know, for them to be for the people. That's why I like I'm invested into the music, you know, because I really don't see my the rest of my life working like that for companies that they don't even value like a person like. And I'm not saying that all companies are like that, you know. I know there are some companies that take care of their employees, and I have been part of great companies as well myself. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to them, to their numbers and things like that, which is understandable. Again, a business is a business, it's not charity or anything like that, so it's understandable. I just think that companies would do better, or they would have maybe a less of a turnaround rate. Maybe they don't even care about this, but they always speak about it. Oh, I guess I know this because I'm in recruitment, right? But there's no reason in hiring people if you're not really going to keep them for the long run, because you're just wasting and spending money in the training, the recruitment, and everything else for them to end up leaving. So it's just like wasting money, unless they make you a lot of money in the meantime, while they're working, which is possible. But if they quit on you like soon, soon, they don't stay too long, that's a loss, because you spend your resources, your time, your trainees' time, everybody's time, and again, time costs. To everybody's time costs per hour, so they're very careful with that. So since the boss didn't give me an answer, I just had to like, I put in my resignation. So he took away the credentials. So to me, that's pretty much like that's it. That's pretty much it. So I put in my resignation. My resignation. I really don't want to like wait, because at the same time I'm losing time, because this week I'm not gonna be working, and that's already putting me behind like my payment, for the week. So I mean, at this point, I really don't have too many like savings and things like that for me to like really dig into. Usually I do, but lately I haven't. Like I have not been putting too much money away. So at this point, it is putting me a little bit back, So I had to like make a move fast. So if he's not willing to do the raise, that's okay. Like I said, it's his business. But I do have to like make my move and move on and get my last check and the other check that we get, so I can have some backup money while I look for a job. And it's not going to be very hard. There are a lot of companies here in Tijuana, especially when you speak English. It's very easy to get a job. It's very easy, as long as you have, of course, the willingness and you want to work, right? Some people just show up to work and they don't really want to work. So that's a different story. So yes, today I put in an application to another call center, Cyber City, here in Tijuana. A ver cómo me va. So say a prayer for me, guys, por favor. I would really appreciate it. But you guys know, we had to give ourselves the value that we deserve. We cannot leave it up to other people to give us our value, because if it's up to them, we're putting our future in their hands. And we have to make sure to be in charge of our destiny, of making our own decisions. We cannot put those decisions in other people's hands. You have to make the decision, hey, okay, I didn't get that. Hey, I gotta go. Or, hey, I'm willing to put up with it more at that rate, whatever there's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you feel is the right thing for you. As long as it's healthy for everybody around, if it's causing too much stress, like for me, like the race as well, I needed it because the boss, he's like a micromanager, he would micromanage a lot, like a lot. And it was just out of control. A lot of like unnecessary stress, pressure. And it's like, wow, and you were still paying me less than the other girl? Makes no sense. And then he wanted to give me another task during, this Monday, which is when I told him, which is another reason why I was like asking for the raise as well. Internally, I didn't really voice that reason to him, but I was going to start training another girl, so that was going to be another task on top of my regular tasks, which puts me behind a lot. And then he really doesn't he doesn't really see things like in a realistic way. For him, if he doesn't, I don't know, like he just wants results without really understanding the process, you know. And mind you, my processes are not that slow. You know, they're pretty efficient. But you know, everybody has the right again to live the way they want to, give raises to whoever they want to, and just like I have the right to work for whoever I want to as well. You know, we are in control of our own destiny. We had to make our own decisions, our own choices. Do not leave your decisions up to other people. Do not leave your life up to other people. It is your life. You have to make your decisions, give your life, you know, give yourself the value that you deserve and make sure that you fight for it, you know? Hopefully you don't have to, you know, hopefully people see it. It's hard to find people like that, but it's possible. Of course, we just have to keep a positive attitude, get ourselves ready, put in the work, meaning get the education that's needed. We cannot just expect situations to happen for us without doing the work, you know? So if you want to be whatever you want to be, a nail technician, of course you have to go to school or whatever to watch tutorials or whatever in order to get yourself ready for those opportunities when they come. When you have, you know, people that want to get nails, now you can offer your services. Now you're ready. Now, you know, you can make it happen for yourself. You are in charge. You make your decisions. Thank you so much for tuning in to TCDG Radio. I hope you enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts on moving on? Let me know. Comment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay in the loop. Remember to tune in to TCDG Radio Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Tijuana time. Also connect with me on social media to get more of me and my music. My social media and contact information are on the video's description. Again, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and for allowing me to share this time with you. Take care. Saludos.